So Ellen, show me a couple of words that I can learn to sign.
Okay. The first sign is, how do you say this?
Awesome.
Awesome. You're awesome. Because it's for the children who doesn't, have trouble with that. You can teach them signs too. So that's it right here.
Awesome.
Right here. Yeah. Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
And another sign is deaf with a D.
Deaf?
D. C.
Oh.
D. Yeah. Like, okay, put number one. Don't put your middle finger. Just put your middle finger. Oh my gosh.
Hi, and welcome to Kelly, where we talk about life, your life and my life. And through Kelly, we hope to inspire. I have Ellen Rice on the show today. And what's unique about Ellen is she cannot hear.
Right. Yes, I'm profound deaf, and thank you for inviting me to be here. Thank you, Kelly.
I think you are such an interesting person, and I love that you want to educate hearing people about deaf people.
Oh, yes, definitely. It's very important to educating hearing people to have a better understanding about the deaf culture and make sure they approach a better way of communication, especially if you're doing sign language or reading lips. You have to be patient. You have to talk very slow and make sure you be patient with them.
And one reason that you're signing today is
Yes.
because your husband is here watching the show.
Yes, my husband's here and he's watching me today. So I have to sign for him to be able to, so he can see when I'm signing and Kelly's signing too.
Yes.
Yes.
And he did this wonderful woodwork.
Yes.
And
yes.
does he does this for a living? He sells these?
Yeah, he sells this. He does for his favorite, that's his favorite hobby. He works at the post office at night. And he does that for a hobby because he enjoys it. He loves doing woodwork. Because when he gets bored, because a lot of deaf people get real bored because they don't have anyone to communicate. So it helps him to focus, it helps him to concentrate. So he enjoys doing all the woodwork and he's selling. Yeah.
I love that.
Yes.
You are an actress.
Yes, I'm an actress. Yes. I started in 2010. So I started in extra and background as the zombie. March 2011, so I started that in the beginning of 2010. And then after that, 2013, I got very lucky to be in the movie with Under the Dome. And Jana was the one that, my first agency, I love her.
Right,
She's
Jana Van Dyke.
wonderful.
Yes.
So she got me doing the Under the Dome for the first movie with the CBS, and they had an interpreter there. I was really amazed how this wonderful people has really, I never thought they would provide an interpreter for the deaf actors, so it was my first time. So people just fascinated in watching the sign language, and so it's important for hearing people to see a deaf role. So they had a deaf role. So one of my friends, Heather LYDA, she's an actress. She's a certified interpreter, and she told Janet, "I'm not going to do it. I'm going to give it to Ellen because she's deaf."
Yes.
So that was so nice of her to do that for me. But thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
And I enjoyed it in the movie, and I had a lot of fun. I met a lot of people. It was amazing.
So you have an incredible story going back to your childhood.
Yes.
And the struggles that you went through living as a deaf person
Yes.
in a hearing world.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I was born in San Jose, Costa Rica. I was born there, and I didn't have any language. I could not speak. I didn't understand English. I didn't have any education at all. So my sister was blind, and I was deaf. And actually, in the beginning, really hard of hearing. And then my parents adopted me. The reason why, because my stepfather was in the Army for 20 years, and my mother had 3 boys. So they decided to adopt 2 girls, me and my sister. And then we moved to the United States. We lived in Louisiana. And then we moved to Tennessee. We lived there for 12 years. I had to become a U.S. citizen, American. First time, never heard airplane, never seen an airplane before. My first language was really Spanish, and I had to learn to speak English, so I never learned to speak. So I learned till I was 5.5 years old. And then 7 to 16, I went to the University of Tennessee, I learned to speak.
Now, you learned to read lips when you were
When
five.
I was 5.5 years
Was
old.
that just from watching people?
From watching people, watching the body language, and use my eyes, and that's a lot of work, because especially if you don't have an interpreter.
Yes, and you are so good at reading lips.
Yeah, you have to, because that's the only way you learn to communicate. How are you going to be able to if you can't hear? How are you going to be able to without interpreter? You have to use your eyes. You have to be able to focus and watch hearing people too. If people are moving around, you have to watch.
Right.
Yeah. So back then in 1965, they didn't have an interpreter all my life growing up in there.
Yeah.
So I went to hearing school, no interpreter at all. So I had to learn to read lips. So.
And how have things changed over the years
Well,
for deaf people?
For the deaf people, well, things has gotten better now. Between 1960 and 65, in an orphanage, when I was living in an orphanage, they almost put me in the place what it's called mental retarded children. They thought, oh, she can't speak. There's something wrong with her. Maybe we should put her in the mental. Lucky I was adopted. And if I had not been in the United States, I would never learn to speak. I would never learn to sign. And William taught me sign language when I met him.
Wow.
So I learned sign language at 21.
21.
Yeah, 21. I never learned sign language till William taught me signs ASL. So it was difficult for me growing up, actually hearing well, and then met William, and two different worlds. One is hearing and one deaf people. It's a little bit different in communication because it's not the same. Because hearing people talk almost every day, deaf people have to sign and use body language, and it's totally different communication. It's not the same. So things have changed. It's gotten better. Before we had a TDD machine, the bigger machine, long time ago. I think back in, I'm not sure what year, back in the old TDD machine, it's really loud.
Okay.
And when you're typing, it's like a typewriter. It's a big machine. And I think it was back in the 17th century, they used an old machine. So now the second one was the TDD machine. We no longer use that anymore. The TDD machine is the worst comes out. When you communicate to deaf, they type more like an ASL or English. Some of them do.
Okay.
But when you're typing to the hearing person, the operator is talking to English to the hearing people. That's the little TDD machine. But now we got a new technology, and it's called SORESON. Yeah, it's a video relay. It's for deaf people to communicate with the hearing people now. So.
And I talked to you on the phone.
Yeah, you talked to me on the video.
Yes.
What did you think of that? Did you like it?
It was interesting. I didn't know if I was talking too fast or too slow.
Right.
So I was trying to talk real slow.
Yeah. And you thought, a man's voice? Who is
Yes,
that? That's not
yes.
Ellen. A man's voice talking to me, okay.
And it was different because you're used to having private conversations,
Yes.
and then all of
Yes.
a sudden there's somebody in your conversation.
Right, yeah. We have about maybe 2,000, 3,000, maybe more people on the video relay. They're on the phone 24 hours. They have different people on the
Wow.
phone. We also have Spanish language too.
Wow.
ASL in Spanish and sign language in the video
Is
relay
that
too.
a free service?
That's a free service
That's
for the
so
deaf
nice.
and hard of hearing and deaf and blind too.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so nice.
Yes, it's really nice. Just amazing how, if we didn't have that, how are we going to be able to communicate with, make an appointment with the doctor, make an appointment in school, and
So
all of that.
I would be able to speak to William through that.
Yes, you can. You
Wow.
can communicate with William, but all deaf people have different telephone numbers. They're not the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're able to communicate with any deaf and hard of hearing. Most hard of hearing people don't use video relay, so
Okay.
they use their phone or text message. So most popular the deaf people use text message.
So Ellen, show me a couple of words that I can learn to sign.
Okay. The first sign is, how do you say it?
Awesome.
Awesome. You're awesome, because it's for the children who doesn't, have trouble with that. You can teach them signs too. So right here, right
Awesome.
here, yeah, awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
And another sign is deaf with a
Deaf.
D, C,
Oh.
D. Yeah. Like, okay, put number one. Don't put your middle finger. Just put a middle finger. Oh my gosh. You gotta watch out for that. D.
D.
The D. See your thumb?
Okay.
D. Okay,
D.
right here. Deaf.
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 Hearing.
Hearing?
Hearing.
Okay.
Hard of hearing.
Hard of hearing?
1, 2.
1,
1, 2.
2.
H. Yep. Hard of hearing.
Okay.
Yes.
That doesn't have to be in front of my face.
No, you don't
It's
do like
just-
this, but stay hard of hearing. Oh, you hard of hearing? Oh, that means oh.
And hard of hearing is what you say to a deaf person not hearing impaired.
Well, if they are actually hearing loss or hard of hearing, say hard of hearing.
Okay.
Now, hearing impaired usually means they cannot speak, but it's not always true because a lot of people have a habit of saying hearing impaired can mean different thing.
Right.
But really, hearing impaired is more. A lot of hearing people don't like that because it's insulting. So a better way to say hard of hearing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you were going to show me Africa.
Yeah. Now, you have to be very careful what you say to a different country, like Spanish, and don't say Africa because the people sound like you're insulted to Africa because they're making fun of you with their nose. Don't say Africa. That's not nice. Just say Africa because it's a beautiful country. It's Africa.
Africa.
Africa because of the way the shape of the Africa, the jungle.
I love it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for showing me.
Yes, you're welcome. Anytime.
So if you have, I know one thing that you have a mission to do, that is to educate hearing people
Yes.
about the deaf. So if you have any advice to give hearing people about deaf people, what would it be?
Okay, number one, the most important is to have certified interpreter for the deaf, especially if you have deaf artists, deaf music, a deaf person who's in school and church must have certified interpreter to help them have a better understanding what's going on in the world. And it's important not to leave a deaf and hard of hearing out, and especially if you're deaf and blind. And we have a new what is called SSP. It's called Service Support Provider, which means all the deaf and hearing people can volunteer become SSP to help communicate with deaf and blind too. Wow. You know, and the best advice is to make sure deaf looking at you, reading your lips, and talk slow. Just like I'm looking at you, I'm reading your lips, and you have to be patient with deaf.
Right.
Because many deaf people may not understand the words. If it's the big words, you have to make sure they understand and explain little things there.
And even when we're typing through text,
Yes.
you talk a little different
Yes, I do.
written than I talk.
Yes.
So it's hard to understand every.
Well, yes. For most deaf people who are intelligent, like in a college education, they already can read English. But some, because we're used to signing ASL in our head.
Yes.
We sign every day, 24 hours. Especially, I'm communicating with my husband. William used strong ASL. I have to be able to use signs with William in ASL, but not English because he understands ASL. Now, but when you're typing, I'm more typing ASL because I skip a lot of the English, I skip a lot of the ED, I skip a lot of words, and it's hard for hearing people to understand my language. I'm not perfect.
Right.
Because I'm used to signing ASL.
Right. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, it
So
is.
you said you brought me a gift.
Yes, I did. Oh, yes. I got you a gift. Oh,
I got a gift.
This is for Kelly. Okay, yes, for you. Yes, I did.
I'm excited.
And I hope she like it. Oh, I hope so.
All right.
Let's see if she like it or not. And William made the frames.
He made that? He made the frames?
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
She said, wow. She said, oh, William made the frames.
Oh, Ellen, this is great.
Oh, this is yeah,
This
that's
is
the picture for me
great.
so you can have something to
And
hang
this
up.
was when you were in.
That was in actually I was doing the modeling. I had a lady from I think Washington D.C. She did a magazine for people with a disability, and they work with a lot of disability people. They put in the pictures in there. They wanted to interview me, so I thought maybe you would like to have that.
I'm going to hang this in the studio.
Okay, that's
for
fine.
everybody to see.
Yes.
Thank you, William, for the frame. I love it. And If people want to get William's woodwork, where do they find him?
Well, they can find him in Facebook. Yeah, William's in Facebook.
William Rice.
Yes, William Rice.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
I hope that people support him in that. And for you,
Oh, you got something for me?
Just some candy.
Candy. Oh,
Ellen.
Thank you.
Ellen, you are a gift in the world. And this is to represent that you are a gift, and we appreciate all that you're doing to help bring communities together. It's important that we are able to speak and communicate with you.
Yes, yes.
And I appreciate that. I love that from the minute that I met you. And you have done such a good job at doing
Thank
that.
you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Kelly. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yes.
And we hope to have you back. I know you've got some things that you're working on.
Yes,
You're
yes.
building.
I'm going to be doing audition on January the 7th. This is a new one in
Okay.
Atlanta. They're only all the disability only for people to do auditions in Atlanta. And I'm excited about that. So I have to wait and see if I
Okay.
get it. So cross my fingers.
Well, if you get it, you're going to come back on and tell us about it.
I'm definitely going to come back and talk about more. Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, thank you so much for being here on Kelly. We hope we educated you, and we hope you we inspired you. If you like this segment, please like our page and push like on the comments. If you have a question for Ellen, please ask her on the comments on the Kelly page.